itazidi na kuwa nchi ya Mungu, tutazidi kumwabudu Mungu, tutaendelea kujenga kanisa na kujenga msikiti, tutaendelea kumcha Mungu katika taifa letu la Kenya. Rege, tsunami haiwezi kutuzuia. Tunaelewana jameni? Tuko pamoja? Basi mimi nataka Bishop msiwekwe na wasiwasi na hawa watu ambao wanatuimbia mambo mengi. Sisi tunamjua Mungu na hatuombi mtu yeyote msamaha kwamba tunamjua Mungu, na sisi ni Wakristo na sisi ni watu ambao tunamcha Mungu. Rais wa Kenya leo, hakuna mtu anaweza kuwa kiongozi wa taifa kama Mungu hajasema. Kwa hivyo huyo ni kiongozi amewekwa mafuta na Mungu amempatia kibali aongoze taifa letu la Kenya, na taifa letu la Kenya litaongozwa kulingana na mapenzi ya Mungu. Tuko pamoja jameni? Tunaelewana? Tuihamue. Bas.
Oh yes, and Milton, is this bringing out the division more conspicuously? Because now we're wondering whose agenda is the BBI?
Actually, those statements basically throws the spanner in the works.
Yeah.
The coming of Raila and Uhuru together was in one way a blessing to the country because the country became united. But on the other side, it also brought some complexities in the political arena. Right now, the comments that the deputy president is making is comments that are aligned in the tune of 2022, because he's trying to block the advances that are being made by the people of the BBI. Like, he's trying to block them, telling them that you guys, you preach water but you drink wine. You're saying that BBI is for unification of everyone, but in real sense, it is about the few of you. So basically the statement he's making is just to stop the incursion that has been made by Raila. And in fact, those statements, they are targeted at Raila and his camp, and not really the president, if you look at it quite closely.
Philip Mwangale, we have the reggae tunes, and we have had Raila Odinga saying nobody can stop reggae. And then now we have DP Ruto saying if this and this and this is it, then my friend, we are going to stop reggae. Is this now the making of a breakup in reality, in definition?
As Milton has said, the deputy president was addressing Raila Odinga and his camp. And the fact that he's saying he's going to stop reggae, I think he will have to switch off the power, because that is the only way he's going to
Where
stop
is the
reggae.
Power source in this case?
The power
Who
source,
has the sockets?
The power source is with Uhuru Kenyatta. Because he was the initiator of the handshake. Well, he wasn't really the initiator, because there were players at the background who initiated the handshake. But that is the source. I mean, it is Uhuru who will determine if the BBI train will change course, because he has spoken very little about the BBI. If you're very keen, in all his addresses, his mention is we need to unite the country. He does not stick to the rhetoric of BBI as much as Raila Odinga and the other camp does. But what Ruto is basically saying is he's actually coming out to speak against what the BBI has become. And I tend to agree with him, because I have said this and I maintain that the BBI is a cover-up for 2022. The fact that William Ruto and his camp have been speaking about 2022 does not negate the fact that Raila Odinga and now the BBI crew is speaking basically about 2022. Because if they are attacking those who are speaking about 2022, then they are speaking the same language. And the fact that we are now concentrating on what form of executive, what structure the government should take going forward, then we are entirely in 2022. And if you look at all these rallies that have been happening, the 6 of them, including the Garissa one, there is very little to do with values. If we are to go by the BBI, the initial BBI report, there is very little to do with values. Because when the report was being launched, we were told that this report will look at a wholesome solution, and that was to do with our value system. These people are not mentioning this when they're in these rallies. Their main focus is on the structure and on the system of governance, and that is basically politics.
All right. Terrell, I know we remember so well that when we were talking about the first report that came out, the first BBI report, we were asking, how do you enforce values? Because that is something so abstract. I mean, people literally choose if they want to do the right thing or the wrong thing. How do you make this into something that can be embedded and enforced, by a system? But then that's it.
Ni kama kulazimisha mtu akienda kanisani apige magoti. You don't do that. They choose what to do. So sidhani kama ni vizuri sana kwa serikali kulimbikizia watu wafanye kile ambacho wakifanya. Jana katika mazungumzo ya Raila Odinga maeneo ya Garissa, akizungumza sana, watu walitaka kujua iwapo BBI itashughulikia swala la kutokuwepo kwa walimu katika maeneo yale. Kulikuwepo na Sossion vile vile ambaye alitaka sana kuzungumzia hilo. Ahadi aliyotoa Raila Odinga ni kwamba yeye atakutana na Rais Uhuru Kenyatta nadhani wiki hii kuzungumzia swala hilo la kuondolewa kwa walimu kutoka maeneo ya Garissa. Ledama Olekina leo anafaa kufika mbele ya maafisa wa DCI kwa sababu ya kuonekana kuchangia pakubwa kuwepo kwa mgawanyiko wa kikabila katika taifa. So BBI sasa hivi sijui sana kigezo chake cha fahari kinatoka wapi.
Na ndio maana tunakuuliza mtazamaji asubuhi ya leo, what exactly do you know about BBI? Ni nini wewe unajua kuhusu BBI? Kwa sababu inaonekana kwamba ni ajenda ya taifa, na kwamba viongozi wanaenda huku na kule katika kwenye misafara wakisema kwamba wanaipigia debe, lakini wewe wajua BBI ni nini? What do you know about BBI? Kule kwenye mitandao tupo na
kupitia Facebook bila shaka ni TV47 Kenya, Twitter ni @TV47KE, @Fan3, @Emmanuel21, na vile utupigie simu kupitia nambari iliyo chini ya kiwambo chako. Kama unazungumza Kiingereza vile sawa, piga tuwasiliana. Kiswahili sawa, usiogope chochote, tuko hapa mimi na ajili yako.
Naam, tunasema kwamba sisi vijana ndio wengi, basi tutaamua kwamba ni lugha gani tunataka kutumia na ni agenda ipi ambayo tutatumia. Naam, talking about numbers, and again not really leaving BBI behind, we're still continuing that online. We're going to read what you say about it. But then on the first page of the Standard now we have a breakdown of eligible voters in the country. And we have Nairobi having the highest number, that is 3 million. We have Kiambu and then Nakuru following Kakamega. And in this analysis, the results show that 14 counties will have more than half of potential voters in 2022. A further analysis actually shows that the Mount Kenya region will still have the lion's share of eligible voters even in the next polls. What does this mean now that we are talking about making of a breakup? We are talking about DP's camp and talking about 2022, talking about the president's camp. We know that the DP is eyeing the highest seat of the land, and these numbers are doing what they're doing right now. What does this mean?
Okay, thank you, Corazon. First of all, I would like to appeal to the lawyer in the House, Philip Mangale, yes, to go and seek the interpretation of the Supreme Court. If ethnic profiling is one of the parameters to use for resource mobilization or resource sharing, because what this report has done has basically ethnicized the process of census, because they say from this particular region we're expecting we have this number of people, so maybe you can assist us with that and to tell us that
are you saying there's something wrong with that in your opinion?
Yes, in my opinion,
yes.
It could be challenged, but in my opinion I don't think such numbers should be used politically, because basically what has come up as the topic of this newspaper, it says that the area that is most likely to produce a presidential candidate based on the past census. That means that the census has not been used economically, but has been used politically. That is something that we need to know as a country. But now to your question,
yes.
Be it as it may, Central Region always has the majority, the lion's share of the voters since time immemorial. And I'm not seeing anything different from with this census, because basically the pattern has been maintained. They're talking of the first 14 counties. So whoever wants to be president might want to concentrate on those particular counties. And you've seen that the deputy president has been very, very keen about the central region. He's made over 41 trips in his second term to the central region, because he knows that it's a vote-rich area, and this census has just confirmed that whatever he's doing there will pay at some point. That is second. That is first. Secondly, there is a rift that is coming up in Central Province, which has never been seen before, because it seems that the deputy president has made inroads, and some people are feeling a bit uneasy about that. So there is the splitting of the central
Kenya votes, yes.
vote. Yeah. So basically, the numbers, they could be okay, but first of all, we need to seek the cost interpretation, whether it is to be used for political reasons or is it for economical as it is intended.
All right. Yeah. I wonder who would take the responsibility. First of all, as you take on that, yes. Philip, and also the fact that now Western region is being mentioned as a potential new titan in all this. And we have former Foreign Affairs Minister Mokwa Anangwe, who has attributed the voter apathy to voters in a given area, not anticipating any change in the elections, adding that now this is a global phenomenon. Yes.
First, I would say this, that it is unfortunate that we have politicized the census process and the census results. It is unfortunate, but that is the reality of our country, that we are ethnocentric. There's a difference between ethnicity and ethnocentrism. And ethnicity is good. It is good to be proud of your culture, of where you come from. But once you start pulling around your ethnic identity, then you have become ethnocentric. And the fact that we are now seeing this narrative being pushed, that it is numbers that will decide who will be president in 2022, and numbers from a certain region, then we are moving away, farther and farther away from a functioning democracy. If we are to get to where we aspire to be as a nation, and that is a functioning democracy, then we have to move away from politicizing our ethnicity. And it is unfortunate that and this is an indictment on the media, because if you choose to carry a certain story, and the concentration is on the numbers and how those numbers will influence a certain political outcome, rather than focusing.
But is that not the reality?
It is the reality.
Because nothing has changed, and that's why I read for you the former Foreign Affairs Mokwa Anangwe's statement, because this clearly is a global phenomenon, because it's not just in Kenya where voting is actually done based on regions.
You see, across the world, it is done based on regions. Those are numbers. But then the dynamics are not ethnic. They are not looking at ethnicity. For us, it is tribe that counts. So what I'm saying is...
But that is maybe probably because our regions are composed of tribes. Yeah. I mean, the Kiambu County has one tribe. Nyanza Western, we only have a bigger percentage coming from one tribe.
That is true, Corazon. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, it is unfortunate, but that is our reality. And we need to think of how we need to get out of this space that we have found ourselves in. If we concentrate on rubber stamping that mentality, and we take that reality as our aspiration for the future, then we are heading nowhere. And the reason I mentioned the media and covering a certain narrative, the role of the media is not just to report; it is also to inform. And information it's more than just reporting what is the reality on the ground. It is about analyzing how the reality affects the future. Right. So it does not do us any good to concentrate on those numbers. Right. And so I also don't feel comfortable in commenting on how the numbers in Western Western should influence, because that is not the narrative I want to carry.
I know you do not want to cover the narrative or carry the narrative, but is that not the reality?
That is the reality, and it's unfortunate.
Why would you then, as a governance expert, want to do any analysis based on something that is not real? Because if you were to do your analysis and make decisions, then you have to base it on reality.
And the reason I'm saying it is unfortunate is because the trajectory that is taking us to is not a good one.
It's tribal.
So, but we need. My analysis now is on the unfortunate reality that this is where we are as a country, but we need to move forward. And my plea to Kenyans will be this: that we should not concentrate on, because this is a narrative that is being pushed by a certain group of people, and especially politicians, because they want to whip up emotions and tell a certain group of people that we are this is our number. So expect this outcome out of an election.
Begin doing your math as early as possible. Milton. Yes.
Philip said something to do with media. And at SN Nyamao, Ruto was abundantly clear on the reggae that must stop. The reggae of ethnic profiling, the reggae of hate. But stupid people and nonsense media will report Ruto vows to stop BBI meetings. Nadhani vile vile kuna moja. Let us settle this battle of Mount Kenya kingpin between Anne Waiguru and Alice Wahome. Na mimi nashughulikia vile vile mambo ya BBI. When people were shouting BBI, that is at Icon Faran 022, when people were shouting BBI at Garissa Primary Playground, this brother was asking for help. Read this message, but not there to see these grievances. BBI has never been something for common Kenyans.
It has something for the political class, in his opinion. Milton.
Thank you. Just dwelling on the numbers.
The numbers, yes.
One thing should be realized about Western Kenya in terms of the voting patterns and all that. There's the issue of matters. The numbers might be the way they appear on the newspaper. There's the issue of voter apathy. You cannot compare the voter apathy in Kiambu versus the voter apathy in Kakamega County. They are very different. The voter apathy in Kakamega County is very high, ranging to about 40%, about 60% would turn out to vote. But if you look at Kiambu, for example, voter apathy is about maybe 10%. That means about 90% come out to vote. So the projections that is being given here, that a particular region might produce a candidate, especially not produce a candidate but determine a candidate, especially the Western region, that is a fallacious argument, because it fails to capture the issue of voter apathy and other cultural issues. That is one. And then secondly, I think Philip is driving a very key point, that there is the reality and then there is the idealism of it. The idealism of it is that we don't need a country that is ethnically profiled, especially when it comes to seasons of elections. We want a country that is heterogeneous or homogeneous, so that we don't have to look at a particular region saying that this particular region must or will vote for a particular candidate based on their. We need to move from that. We need to come into a state whereby voters or citizens are aggregates. That means they are independent and they make independent decisions without the influence of their ethnic
and definitely without having the emotions whipped up using tribe and all that. Emmanuel Tere, we only have, I think, 3 minutes to come to a conclusion. I don't know what you have online, but the agenda right here that I think is also a new agenda is how we're going to detach ourselves from the reality of tribalism and emotions being whipped up by the political class based on tribes and regions and all this. Are we ever going to detach ourselves from this? Emmanuel.
Kutoka mtandao Musimo, lakini sijapata mzuri, nilikuwa natafuta. We need to patent this name Ruto. You use it, you pay me. Inatumika sana na asubuhi Corazon ulisema kitu kimoja kwamba mbona katika magazeti jina la Ruto lisipoonekana.
Kwanza alituambia jana kwamba kule kwenye Twitter tukutane kesho kwenye headlines. Maana hata yeye mwenyewe alikuwa anajua tayari.
Kama atakuwepo katika headlines.
shortly after that, gazeti ya Nation ilipotokea, alikuwa kwa headlines.
I guess someone also at Elias Kipto, should these people learn to talk without mentioning the name of William Ruto in any BBI rally taking place? They have to present themselves in the name of hustler. Shame on them. Wanaona kwamba lakini kusema sijui sana, lakini nadhani kwa mara nyingi mtu akitaka kufaulu kwa siasa labda utumie jina lake hasa kwa BBI, kama unampinga ndio onekane kwamba uegemee upande wake.
Ningekuwa na wakati ningeuliza akina Milton na Philip kama inageuka kisa chake Raila Odinga, ambapo wakati wote jina lake lilikuwa kila mahali katika uwanja wa siasa. Mtu ambaye hakutaja jina la Raila basi hakuwa kwenye siasa. Lakini katika dakika zetu 3 kama tutaangalia haya masuala mawili, yule afisa ama mlinzi katika afisi ya Ruto ambaye alichukua uhai wake kulingana na ripoti. Very many things are now coming out, and the family, according to the Star, is hiring a detective to actually look into the issue because they believe that the police is not handling it right. This has been in the public domain. Do you feel like the police is handling it right? And what do you really think is happening with this case from where you sit?
Yeah, from where I sit, I believe that the police, number one, is well equipped to conduct such kind of investigations because they are funded by the state so as to do this kind of investigations. But what actually makes this case very complex, it comes at the backdrop of a scandalous environment that there was 39 billion shillings that had been engaged in a scam, and the guard after that incident happens to have killed himself. It is very suspect that the guard has to kill himself, and the neighbors couldn't hear the shot, and he says that he shot himself from the chin, and therefore would have expected to see a bullet on the roof or something like that, and he left the door open, incidentally or by default or by design. He left the door open. So there are those people who think that this was murder, assassination, and there are those people who think that this was suicide. Therefore, just a minute before I finish. Therefore, the family is also taking the view that this was assassination, and that is why they are hiring a private investigator. You remember even Fidel's case, the family was not comfortable with the government finding they had to hire private investigators. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I only have a few seconds.
Kuna mambo mengi ambayo yamefanyika katika kisa hiki ambacho ni cha kuhuzunisha. Wakati kulikuwa na ripoti kwenye magazeti kwamba wakati polisi walifika kwenye eneo la tukio, kwenye nyumba hiyo, waliuondoa mwili wakaupeleka kwenye police station, kwenye kituo cha polisi. Kisha DCI Kinoti akaamrisha kwamba warejeshe mwili huo kwenye eneo la tukio. Hii inamaanisha kwamba eneo hilo lilishakuwa contaminated. Kwa hivyo hatutarajii kwamba uchunguzi utakuwa wa wazi na wa haki. Kwangu binafsi sitarajii kwamba uchunguzi utakuwa wa wazi. Lakini polisi wanao uwezo. Na inawezekana kwamba wakati huu wanaweza kuwa wanajua ni nini kilifanyika. Lakini bado tunaambiwa kwamba uchunguzi unaendelea kufanywa. Kwa hivyo kunawezekana kwamba hakujitoa uhai, aliuawa. Lakini jinsi tunajua katika nchi hii kuna visa vingi vya watu ambao wameuliwa ambavyo havijachunguzwa hadi kufikia mwisho. Kwa natumai tu kwamba tutajua ukweli ya nini kilifanyika.
Mwishowe hatimaye. Thank you very much Philip Mwangali, thank you very much Milton Mishiri. I am actually out of time. I know Emmanuel Terrer together with the team, Stella K, the very authentic African beauty, is coming up with the Gomzo Mitandaoni. You don't want to miss this. This is the segment where we bring what is happening online, and believe me, Kenyans are hilarious. They're going to break and crack your ribs. But do not forget, we have the magic coming up soon after that. This is a TV47 Breakfast. The conversation goes on online at the hashtag TV47 Breakfast. Don't go too far.